Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel, Susie's Sweet Treats. Today we're going to be making the hummingbird cake. So follow along and let's get this made. Alright, so for the hummingbird cake we're going to get our pans prepped first. And because the hummingbird cake is such a moist cake, we're actually going to line our cake pans with some parchment paper. And in order for it to fit, we're going to cut it, and I'll show you how to do that. So you take your parchment paper and you get it folded, and then you just fold it into triangles so that it's easier to work. Again. And these are 8-inch cake pans, so you're cutting your... Alright, so putting the cake mix together in a large bowl. We're going to whisk together the dry ingredients first. So that's going to be 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And this is going to be spooned and leveled, just like I've shown you before, where you use the spoon and put it into the measuring cup. And then we'll level it off. Do that so you get an accurate measurement and you're not adding too much flour into the cake mix. So that's one. Okay. Then we have 2. And a half. All right, there's the half. So that's 2.5 cups of flour. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Then 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. And then 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Using 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And then this step is optional. You can use a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. We're going to skip ground cloves only because I don't have them. Let alone, cloves are kind of strong, so we'll leave those out. So we'll go ahead and get this mixed. So you want to make sure that it's all well incorporated. And then we're going to move over to the wet ingredients. So we'll use a smaller bowl and we'll combine all of the wet ingredients. Alright, so now we're combining all of the technically wet ingredients. So the first one is the applesauce. It's a 1/2 cup of applesauce. I have an individual cup. That's a 1/2 cup, and it's unsweetened. So in the bowl. And then there we're going to add a half a cup of vegetable oil. And then we're going to add 1.5 cups of white sugar. And then we're adding a half a cup of brown sugar that has been packed into the cup. And then we have 3 large eggs that are at room temperature. And then it's 1.25 cup to 1.5 cups of mashed bananas. 3 to 4 bananas are going in. We're going to add in 1 8-ounce can of crushed pineapple, and it has the juice. Do not drain it. You're going to use the whole thing. And then we're using 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. We're going to whisk this until it's thoroughly combined. That looks good. And then we're going to take the wet ingredients and we're going to put it into the dry ingredients. It smells so good with that pineapple in there. And we're going to whisk this till it's combined. And then we're going to take 1.25 cups of toasted pecans. Now to toast your pecans, you can put them onto a baking sheet, put them into the oven at 400 degrees for about 5 to 7 minutes, just until you start smelling them and they're becoming fragrant. And these are chopped pecans or pecans, however you say it. We're going to fold those in. Now that that is done, we're going to go ahead and get our pans. And we're going to divide the cake batter into the pans evenly. So let me grab the pans and I'll be right back with them. Alright, so here's the pans that we've prepared earlier that has the spray in there. It has the parchment paper line in the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and take our batter. And we're going to just divide it amongst the 3 pans. And these are 8-inch cake pans. You can use 9-inch cake pans. If you use 9-inch cake pans, you're only going to use 2. and it will require you to bake the cakes a little bit longer. So let's just get this evenly divided as best as we can. So just take a little bit out. Put it over into this one. Alright, that looks about even. So we're going to go ahead and get these into the oven. And we're going to bake them for about 25 to 30 minutes or until the toothpick inserted comes out clean. We'll rotate the pans about halfway through. So once they're done, I'll let you know exactly how long that they baked for. And I'll see you back in just a few minutes. Alright, the cakes are out of the oven. My oven, it took about 40 minutes for them to bake, but they're finally done. Again, anybody else's oven, 25-30 minutes, mine 40. We're going to let them cool in the pans. Once they're done cooling, we're going to take them and turn them out onto the wire rack and let them cool completely. Then we're going to go ahead and get them wrapped up for the night, get them in the refrigerator. Tomorrow we'll make the icing and get them frosted. The cake always tastes better on day 2, day 3. So this is perfect timing for us to have it for our Easter Sunday, which is in 4 days now, 3 days. So just bear with me and I'll bring you back when they're ready and I'll show you how to wrap them up. Alright, cakes are cooled. I got them out of the pans. So we're going to go ahead and wrap them for the night so that they can get chilled in the refrigerator. We're just using some saran wrap. And we'll go and fight with the saran wrap so we can get it out. And these cakes are definitely moist. One side. Let's get another piece. Just double wrap them just to help keep the moisture locked in. And alright, so I'm going to do that with the other 2, and we're going to get these into the refrigerator and we'll get them chilling, and then tomorrow we'll come back and get them iced so you can see the finished product. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and assemble all of the ingredients for the cream cheese frosting. So the first thing is 12 ounces of cream cheese that's been softened, so it's 1.5 bricks. I already have that into the bowl. And then it's 1/2 cup of unsalted butter. Well, my butter is salted, so what I will do is where it asks for the salt, I will omit that. So one stick of butter, and that gives you your 1/2 cup. And then we're going to beat the butter and the cream cheese until it's nice and fluffy, and that's going to take about 3 minutes. So bear with me. So the frosting, well, the butter and the cream cheese, nice and well combined, and it's fluffy. So the next step is we're going to add in 1 cup of powdered sugar. It says for salt, but of course since I use salted butter, we're not adding the salt, so that we're controlling the salt content. So we're going to get the 1 cup of powdered sugar. And we're going to go ahead and get this combined. We'll start on low so I don't make a mess everywhere. That's combined. We can go ahead and scrape down the sides. And then our next step is to add in 1 more cup of powdered sugar. The vanilla, and the vanilla is 1½ teaspoons, and we're going to get this combined. So that's been 2 cups of powdered sugar now. So we're going to add in 1 more cup of powdered sugar. So that's a total of 3 cups of powdered sugar now. And then we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of heavy cream. And we're going to go ahead and get this mixed. Scrape down the sides again. And then we're going to add in the remaining powdered sugar, which is 1 more cup, because it's a total of 4 cups going in. Alright, so that's 4. And we're going to go ahead and get this combined, and then once it's combined, we're going to turn our mixer on high, and we're going to continue beating for about 2 to 3 minutes until the frosting is perfectly creamy. And if the frosting is too thin, we can add some more powdered sugar. If it's too thick, we can add a little bit more heavy cream. So let's play it by ear and see what happens. Let's get it combined. Frosting is done, nice and fluffy and smooth and creamy. We're going to go ahead and get our cakes frosted, so I went ahead and got them unwrapped and I put them on my cake keeper. So we're going to put the first layer on. So we're just going to put some frosting in the center and using the offset spatula to go ahead and get it iced around. That's the first layer. And we're going to go ahead and get our second layer on. Try to make sure it's evened up well. And again, you got to remember, this is a very moist cake. So it feels very wet, but it's just because it's moist. Second layer frosted here. And then our third layer will go on. And of course, I'm wiping my hands in between each layer just because of the moistness. And when I was mixing the frosting, I stuck with just the 4 cups. I didn't go and add any more. I like the consistency of this frosting, and then once you refrigerate it, it's going to stiffen back up anyways. Alright. So let's use the spatula. Get some frosting on the sides. And I'm not the greatest cake decorator. I'm a very novice when it comes to decorating cakes. I'm sure there's tips and tricks on how to make this better, but I'm just a home baker. I know you could do a crumb coat, refrigerate it, and then take it back out and put the rest of the frosting on. But most times, I don't have time for that. If you're going to get fancy and pipe a border on it or something, you might want to make the frosting a little bit thicker than what it is so that it'll hold its shape better. But again, I'm not doing that with this cake. I'm just getting the icing on it. I'm just going around smoothing it out a little just so there's not a ton of frosting. Also trying to make sure that I don't miss a spot either. So there's the cake, and again, you can decorate it with a border, you can use a piping bag, you can put some chopped pecans on the top, however you would like, maybe some pieces of pineapple, maybe some pieces of banana chips, just to decorate it up a little, but I'm leaving mine as it is. I think it's perfect the way it is, and just cleaning up the board here a little. And we're going to go ahead and get this in the refrigerator and let it chill. And then when you go to serve this, you're going to take it out about 10 minutes before serving to let it cool off a little so it's not so cold from the refrigerator, and that will give you the best texture on this cake. So enjoy. Alright, so here's the finished product, the Hummingbird Cake. If you'd like to see more, subscribe to the channel. Give this a big thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let me know what else you would like me, that you'd like to see. Thanks for supporting the channel.